All right. Panelists, do you guys feel ready to go?
Let's do it.
Let's do
Yep.
it. All right. Hello, everyone. Hello. And welcome to Sync Systems' first webinar of the new year that we are kicking off right on January 4th, 2024. I should have made it at 4 p.m. just to go with the puns, but no one in the East Coast wants a 4 p.m. webinar. So thank you so much for coming to 4 big ideas that will transform community association management in 2024. So the reason why we wanted to kick off the very start of the new year with all of you to go over these 4 transformative ideas and trends that we're seeing based on our prelim state of the industry results for 2024 is because in 2023, we had our whole Rethink Community campaign where we talked about a lot of thought-provoking content related to the industry. And as we're thinking about what's next for us to talk about for the new year, we want to continue those conversations, but in even more proactive manners as we continue to redefine ways that we can change up processes to transform community association management and, hold true to our mission to making living in a professionally managed community a great experience, and doing that through innovative technologies and the teams behind that technology. So to kick it off, we're here today to share our predictions, if you will, for our 4 big ideas. Whenever you start a new year, you share your resolutions and you're held accountable. So now all of you on the call today can hold us accountable to see if we got it right. You'll tell us at Sync Up this year. And by the way, that's getting announced pretty soon. But these ideas that we're going to talk about today, these are 4 big ideas. Obviously, there's a lot more. But some of this you might be surprised with, some of it you might not be surprised at all. This is what we've compiled based off of our 2024 State of the Industry survey results. So as you know, in the past month, we've been collecting data from all of you plus board members across the United States. To find out what they see as the biggest trends and the biggest concerns and threats to the industry. So this is your sneak peek into some of those big ideas that we will be sharing in that report starting next month, as we also continue to have compelling monthly webinars to really talk about how we can support and grow one another through the power of conversation and technology. So to have this conversation, of course, you can't do it with me. By the way, my name's Kim Pitsko. I'm the marketing director here at Sync Systems, and I'm not that important. I just make things pretty and gather data. But who is important are the people on the panel. They're all part of our Sync team, and they're also quintessential experts in the CAM industry, as well as the technology behind community association management. So I'm going to go round robin and give a chance for everyone to introduce themselves. Jim, I'm going to start with you.
Senior project manager here at Sync. I've been in the CAM industry now, depending on how you count it, since 2003. I started as a board member and then actually joined as a professional in 2012. Kind of filled every role from manager up to manager of the executive. And I got started in this space because I joined the board. And now I'm also president-elect of the CN Solar Board. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you, Jim, and congratulations. All right. Next on the list, I am going to ask Lindsay to come on and introduce herself.
Richardson. I'm a client account manager here at Sync. Prior to joining Sync, I was a community association manager here in the Atlanta market for 11 and a half years. I have my CMCA, got that in 2013, my AMS in 2014, my PCAM in 2018. And since joining Sync, I've also added the educated business partner credential as well. I started in the industry as a board member in a community and was encouraged to try out the industry. And I inconveniently got laid off from my job in banking, and the rest was history. And so I'm not still in that community, but I am still a board member in the community that I live in. So I love using my expertise and everything I've learned in the last decade plus, now helping management companies succeed and thrive with Sync.
Awesome. Thank you, Lindsay, and congratulations on your latest education achievement. All right, next up on the stage, if you're with Sync, you know this woman very, very well. Dawn Randall, please introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dawn Randall. I'm Sync's Chief Client Officer. I work with our support team and also our account managers like Lindsay on the call. Also work really closely with our exec and our marketing team so that we can make sure we provide all of our customers with the best services. And don't let Kim fool you with her introduction. Without Kim and her team, we would not be able to do webinars like this today that help with education, and the information that they have gathered from the survey this year is amazing. And we're really excited to share it with our clients and with everyone else that's on this call as well today.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dawn, and thank you for the plug. And last but certainly not least is the man behind the products. If you were at Sync Up this year, you saw him on stage introducing Sunny AI. Chris, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, I'm Chris Milner, Chief Product Officer at Sync. Been at Sync for about 3 years and been in technology and payment companies and consulting for longer than I care to remember, more than 20 years. So happy to be with you guys today.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Chris. You can tell that he's the tech guy because he's the one with the headphones, like ready to code while also talking. Okay, so let's dive in and talk about our 4 big ideas. So here we go. Drum roll, please. What is our first big idea? So big idea number 1, boards who defer maintenance expenses will pay a big price in 2024, not just from a cost perspective, but perhaps also from being essentially fired from their management company. So we all know about the tragic events that happened at the Surfside condo collapse in 2021, and that started to cascade into a bunch of significant events in which professionally managed communities became increasingly more proactive in upholding maintenance needs to ensure the overall safety of homeowners. But rising costs now are leading to rising concerns over price hikes. And what we find very, very fascinating in our 2024 State of the Industry results that we've seen is that for the first time in the past several years that we've been producing this report, the number 1 concern that everyone has, from management companies to board members, is deferred maintenance. And when we asked management company executives, what do you see as the number 1 threat to the industry and your ability to grow as a management company, their number 1 threat is cost-conscious boards. Big change from the past few years. So Jim, in your expertise, why do you believe deferred maintenance is now the number 1 concern, where for the past few years, the number 1 concern that was trending for us was homeowner engagement? Why do you believe it's gone so quickly from homeowner engagement down to deferred maintenance?
Yeah, I think first we should quickly talk about how we got here. I think this has been an issue that's been building for years. You know, we've seen in the 2010s, a lot of states were addressing it by adopting some legislation regarding reserve funding, making it mandatory to fund the reserves because they saw this coming. But human nature comes in, and boards, are sometimes driven by fear. They see their role maybe not in a different role. They see their role to keep expenses low. They think that that's their job. So they're reluctant to raise assessments because it affects their neighbors, people that they see every day because they live where they govern. And many of those neighbors are on, fixed incomes, so they don't want to affect them. So I think I driven by fear and don't want to make that big decision. Also, human nature, sometimes it's hard to make those big decisions. So they put them off and they wait and they wait and they wait. And then I think the pandemic brought the issue to light. You know, people are at home. They were a lot of stay-at-home owners. They're noticing things they hadn't noticed before because they had a lot of extra time in their hands. So they're looking out the window every day and saying, "Oh, that needs to be fixed. That needs to be fixed." So the reports started coming in to management companies. Then, of course, we had the problem where only essential workers could work. So sometimes the workers couldn't come out to fix that. You had in the labor shortage, material shortages, inflation, insurance prices going up, and all these things are causing more crippling and lack of wanting to make decisions. And then there's Hampton Towers disaster. When that building collapsed, that really got the industry's attention, and that included the regulators too. You're seeing more legislation. So why do I think this is now the #1 issue? I think now, because deferred maintenance is getting people's attention, it's increasing homeowner engagement, sometimes for good, sometimes for bad. Of course, now costs are much greater, and there's increases in all costs, especially in insurance. Everybody's feeling the pain of these high insurance costs, and they're causing pain. And then, of course, associations, a lot of them have caps, so they can't increase their assessments. So those budgets are being eaten up by insurance, and only a few states have updated their legislation to exclude insurance increases from those caps. Then there's the government and lending regulations where they have that lending questionnaire, and there's a lot of questions about maintenance now and deferred maintenance, and this is affecting resale. Some homeowners aren't able to sell. And when that happens, that gets them fired up and that gets them talking to their boards. So of course therefore by that it's increasing homeowner involvement. So these are all the things that are leading to that. And I think you're going to see it become more and more of an issue and probably remain #1 for the next few years.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jim. That was such an incredible amount of knowledge that you shared with us. And I really, really appreciate your perspective there. I find it very interesting how you say that deferred maintenance is actually increasing homeowner engagement, but not necessarily, not always in a good way, if you will. Lindsay, you've been in community management for a long time. How can boards, in your opinion, effectively communicate the need to cover expenses for important maintenance upgrades, and how can management companies support them in those strategies and tactics?
Sure, that's a good question. I think education is going to be the most important, both for boards and homeowners. Management companies helping to educate their boards so that the boards can educate homeowners, as well as management companies taking the opportunities when they arise to educate homeowners as well at the annual meetings or the community meetings throughout the year, as well as information that they can put out either in emails or, periodic newsletters, what have you. Going back to the things that Jim talked about, since the Surfside collapse in 2021, we've seen, initially the majority of the impact was seen in Florida, but it has started to spread nationwide. And we've seen changes in things, with Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and lending with the FHA and VA and even conventional loans. Now, we've seen lenders turn people down for loans in buildings that they believe are underfunded. And we've seen lenders asking now for more documentation than ever with reserve studies and building inspections and maintenance plans that they didn't request before. So educating the homeowners on what the potential fallout is of not funding these expenses. And, Jim alluded to people not being able to resell. We've seen condos even, here in Atlanta that have deferred maintenance and have deferred maintenance for quite a while, and homeowners are stuck with condos that they can't resell because the lenders won't lend to a buyer. So educating homeowners, I think one of the most important tools that boards and management companies can use to educate homeowners is a reserve study, along with building inspections. But a reserve study, this is more of not a board member's opinion, not the management company's opinion, not someone trying to make money off the community association. This is a tried and true informational document with expertise from a structural engineer on what the life expectancy of every component of your building is and how much it's going to cost with inflation to make those repairs or replacements at what time frame, so that you can adequately go to your membership and say, this is how much money we need by 2025 or 2030 to fund these repairs adequately. And this is why we need more money. It's easier, I think, to educate homeowners that the better option is maybe a little more money now so we can be prepared than a huge special assessment down the road, especially in, Jim talked about insurance with, we've seen some insurers refuse to insure buildings that haven't adequately maintained or have structural issues. And so it's easier now to have a moderate increase in your dues or a small special assessment versus a large special assessment down the road to rebuild a building without insurance.
Awesome. Awesome. That's really good advice. You mentioned homeowner education a lot. Homeowner education and board education was another huge topic in our State of the Industry report that you'll see next month. And I think absolutely education and communication to be shared with homeowners on all devices that's possible and available to them is incredibly important. All right, so that's big idea number one. Ready for big idea number two? We're switching gears. We're just going to go from one topic to another. We're going to have some fun here. Big idea number two. Management companies will find it necessary to uncover new and innovative revenue streams. So because of heavy competition, and here we're kind of switching gears from the board to the management company, but with heavy competition and growing acquisition across the community association management space, we're finding that a majority of management companies are finding the need to be more creative and proactive in driving revenue beyond the management fee. This also means that they are revisiting ways to automate billing and to account for the expenses in which they are owed. This is something that we've been seeing in the past couple of years with enterprise level management companies. We're now also seeing small to medium businesses really look at finding new revenue streams as a big priority for them. So Dawn, what are some of the popular ways that you've seen for management companies to be able to drive and maintain revenue in today's world?
That's a great question. And what's interesting, Kim, is just even over the last, I would say 5 years, I've seen a huge shift from, like you said, the regular monthly management fee and like your normal fees, like charging for envelopes and letters and things like that, that we've seen that really shift because our management companies need to be way more creative now because of competition, to doing things such as like charging for late fees. It is a great example. The late fee income that comes into the association isn't something that the association may necessarily rely on for their budget. They budget for a small piece of it. But the management companies put a lot of work into managing the receivables, and they've been able to now, as they get creative, charge the association for the late fees, maybe just late fees that are paid, not necessarily late fees generated, but late fees that are paid. We've also seen other management companies charge for things like managing reservations for them. Managing reservations is a big part of communities, especially today. Like I know right now, a lot of our management companies are dealing with managing pickleball and the fight between the pickleball and the tennis people. So that's been another way. Like 3-4 years ago, I don't think I heard of very many of our management companies charging for the management of amenities like that, the reservation piece. But now we're seeing that because, again, it's causing them a little bit more work and they're having to get creative with those fees.
I love that. And I really hope I find some time to create a TikTok campaign of pickleball versus tennis. Because that definitely is a huge, it didn't come up in the State of the Industry report, surprisingly, but it definitely is a huge thing. All right. So Chris, can, not to make this a sales pitch, but we are a technology company. Can you share some different products that Sync does offer and services that provide ways to help drive revenue for management companies now, and anything that you see coming down the road for us in 2024.
Yeah, sure. I mean, in general, I'd say that Sync is really here to make sure that we're allowing you to capture whatever revenue opportunities you have as efficiently as possible and as comprehensively as possible. So we don't want you to lose the revenue that you've already earned by not accounting for it appropriately. And so, one solution that we've had out there for a number of years, but is overlooked, I think, by some of our customers, is our RevStream or management module solution that automates management fee and addendum billing collection. So we've seen customers increase their collection of their addendum billing fees by 30% just by implementing this solution, because it's not that they're doing anything different, except they're actually charging for the things they have the right to charge for. So if you're not using that, I would suggest anybody look into that with your account manager. And then to what Dawn's been talking about, we've made it, a lot easier for you to charge for and manage amenity reservations. So our reservations module doesn't just manage the reservations themselves. It allows for payment. It can accept security deposits. It can refund security deposits. And so it makes that whole process much easier, and much more, your association is going to be much more willing to have fees attached to those amenities. Similarly, we've implemented the ability to charge for miscellaneous items through the homeowner portal for those things you don't necessarily want to bother running through the homeowner ledger, the key fobs, parking passes, and such. So it makes it easy to capture those as well. As far as things coming up, because those things we've already put out there recently, we have a special, what we call a special billing or a special services billing solution that's coming out soon. It's already in beta with a few customers. It allows you, if you have a maintenance business, you can, or any sort of ancillary business that's using our work order functionality. So I've seen customers who they start with power washing and they move into other types of either maintenance or construction businesses. But it allows you to easily tie the work orders for an ancillary business like that into addendum billing. It adds the line items for completed work directly to the billing invoice each month, and provides kind of clear backup for that billing as part of the board package. So it just, again, makes it much more easy and efficient to collect on the revenue you're earning in some of these other revenue streams you've got. And then something really interesting that we're working on right now with a partner is the concept, and some of you probably heard me talk about this at Sync Up if you were there, is the content hub that will be added to the homeowner portal and the homeowner app. And this is going to allow localized news and content that's relevant to a specific community's homeowner. So this is very localized. We're not talking about something that's relevant to Central Virginia. We're talking about something that's relevant to a community in the Virginia, somewhere in Virginia. And our goal is to have some of this content sponsored, and that's where the partner comes in, which can provide a revenue stream back to the management company. So we're not talking about putting ads onto your portal. We're talking about sponsored content. So it'd be something like, 5 tips to extend the life of your HVAC system, brought to you by, the HVAC servicing company or the HVAC manufacturing company. So we think that'll be a truly new revenue stream that hopefully we can bring to you guys, as well as providing useful content to your homeowners that will get them to engage more with the tools they're providing, which also encourages them to do more self-service and to pay electronically, which is beneficial to the management company.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Chris. Very, very excited about everything that you have shared with us, and the latest news tying homeowner engagement with revenue generation. And you bringing up homeowner self-service is actually a perfect segue into big idea number 3. The best managerial talent will choose to work at companies with the best homeowner self-service capabilities. So while the so-called Great Resignation is over in many industries, in community association management, attracting and retaining qualified managerial talent is continuing to be a huge concern. In our State of the Industry report, you'll see that employee turnover is a big problem, and also employee turnover more than our past reports, far more than our past reports, is leading to client turnover. We have many quotes from different management companies sharing how they lost a client simply because a manager left for another company. Now, for the second time in a row, at the same time in which we surveyed specifically community managers, and we asked them, hey, what is the number one need that you have to grow in your career, to be successful, and to reduce your burnout? It is 100% homeowner self-service tools. So, Lindsay, my next question is for you. How can management companies work to increase the adoption of self-service tools in their communities? And how can they communicate that strategy to their management team?
Well, I think first we have to acknowledge that community manager burnout is absolutely real. I think anybody that's worked in this industry for any length of time can acknowledge that. And outside of burnout, the community association industry as a whole is a very thriving industry. I think COVID proved that it's nearly recession proof. You know, we always heard that you should be a doctor because doctors are recession proof. You're never going to not need a doctor. Doesn't matter what kind of recession we're in or worldwide virus. But I think we proved that community management is the same. Community associations aren't going anywhere. In fact, they're multiplying at an insane rate right now that we can't keep up with. So community managers consistently being burned out is a real threat to the industry. And I think increasing the adoption of self-service tools is going to be what helps in that. You know, the less that the community manager has to do mundane tasks that people can really help themselves is going to take less, take less of their time, take more off their plate to focus on the things that we really should be focusing on, the big ticket items like deferred maintenance. But I think the key to that is making those self-service tools readily available. Long gone, it's not feasible anymore to expect that a homeowner is going to log in to their portal from a web browser on a physical computer, right? We're all mobile. We're busier than we've ever been before. So I think the real key is going to be able give the homeowner the opportunity to do what they need to do and find the information that they need to find in the palm of their hand, whether that's an app or a mobile friendly website. Again, email newsletters, texting's becoming really a key in this industry to get information out. Not everybody, we're overwhelmed with emails. I don't know about you guys, but both Christmas and New Year's, I think I got an email from every retailer I've ever purchased anything from in the last 25 years. I probably would lose an email from my management company in there if we're being honest. So I think texting, if it doesn't get lost in all the political texts that come to my phone these days, I think texting and app-based solutions are going to be the real key in getting homeowners to self-serve and help themselves. And the other part of that is, just making sure it's available in multiple places, that it's kind of in their face, including the information in your marketing packets, your onboarding, if you're doing onboarding training with boards that are coming on with new communities, just making sure the information is out there and they know where to find it and making it easy. I don't think communicating that strategy to your management team is going to be very hard because I don't know of a single community manager out there that is going to give you any resistance in making their job easier.
I love that. And, being able to provide more and more support tools to our clients at Sync so that they can promote their homeowner apps in a very customized fashion and in a very easy way to grab and go is a priority for us at Sync this year for this very reason. That's why we have the tools like Sync Community. So we're very excited for all of that. Now, Chris, AI, the big buzzword of 2023. You can't get on a stage without saying AI so that you look innovative. But what was once a buzzword in 2023, now in 2024 is an asset to an organization. So how does AI, generative artificial intelligence, work to improve overall homeowner self-service and as a result of that, the manager workload?
Yeah, so I mean, there are a lot of different aspects that can play in. You know, when we first started looking at AI, we were trying to think of use cases where it would provide real value to the management company. We didn't want to do something frivolous just because it was neat. So we worked on a prototype to start with that was a conversational UI, you might call it a chatbot, that could read documents and data from for an association and provide the manager answers to questions about that data when the manager was on site. Some of y'all may have seen us. We were showing this off at our booth at CI National last year. And the feedback was, hey, that's great. But what would really be exciting would be if you could do something similar for the homeowners and put it on the homeowner app, so that the homeowners could ask questions and then they don't call or email the management company. To which we said, why didn't we think of that? But no, really, I mean, we pivoted and we set out to build that as a real product, as our first real product coming out. And we've done that now. I mean, we've got it in beta with a few customers, just got that in late in 2023. And we're hoping to get that out to everyone else in the coming months. What it does is it literally is reading the association documents that you designate it to read, like bylaws or FAQ documents, or I mean, really any document you want it to be able to read and use, and provides answers that can be found in those documents back to questions. So if a homeowner wants to know the pool hours or if they can paint the front door pink, it will answer those questions or provide them guidance. So, you know, your bylaws may not say whether they can paint their door pink, but it's probably going to be clear that they can take that to the architectural review committee to have it. So it will give that guidance if it can't give a clear answer. So, you know, we've gotten great feedback on it so far. We think this is going to be kind of a game changer in terms of really engaging the homeowner again, delighting them by getting them answers more quickly, and also saving work for the manager, because they won't have to respond to too many of those things and then go and look it up in the bylaws to see what the answer is. So really excited about that. We're also going to make it available to the manager as we originally were. That will probably be the next phase of it. So the managers on site, they can use it to more easily when they're driving around. They can ask it a question by, you know, pressing a button on the phone and literally asking the question and getting an answer, which might be a little bit safer way to do it when you're driving, and also saves you a few clicks if you can just ask the question.
Love it. And for anyone who wants to see a demo of our Sunny AI tool, you can see that online on our website, syncsystems.com, or give us a shout and we will show it all to you. We are obsessed with Sunny AI. It's amazing to see all of its capabilities, the language capabilities, the voice capabilities. It's absolutely phenomenal. And it is definitely a game changer when it comes to homeowner self-service. All right, I know we're going a little bit over in time, but that's what happens when you have experts in the field and when you're talking about things that are so exciting for the industry. So our final big idea, number 4, this might be surprising because you might have thought that we were going to make AI one of the big ideas, and it's one of the big ideas, but it goes into everything. Big idea number 4, the CAM industry will take cybersecurity seriously and will weed out technology partners who don't. So while new technology like generative AI absolutely boosts efficiency and the bottom line, that kind of technology and all of the different tech stuff that we have can threaten data security, as bad actors will have more and more sophisticated tools to find and exploit vulnerabilities. management companies are some of the biggest victims of cybersecurity because they're holding such personal data to the homeowner. And as cybersecurity threats continue to rise, it's going to become more and more necessary for management companies to vet their technology partners to ensure that there is going to be no chance in a data compromise. So, Chris, what do you see as some of the biggest threats to come for 2024 when it comes to cybersecurity? And when using new technology such as AI, how can management companies ensure that they are using it in a safe manner for their clientele?
Yeah, I mean, a couple things. I mean, AI is one thing, but I do just want to highlight it's old fashioned. It's not even really a cybersecurity thing, but it's going through the roof is check fraud, old fashioned check fraud.
Mhm.
For whatever reason, the past few years, if you look at the Postal Service data, because they track this because it's usually stolen from the Postal Service, people are stealing checks, washing them and writing them for bigger amounts and to different parties and collecting it. So anything you can do to encourage your homeowners not to send in checks, to use electronic payment methods is great. Anything you can do for you not to use paper checks is great. And so, we've got electronic payment options. We've got vendor payment options, or you could use Avid Strongroom solution, which we integrate with to reduce the amount of paper checks. You're never going to be able to rid of it completely, but you can dramatically reduce it with some of these options. But in terms of cybersecurity, the biggest threat I would say is your people. I know that sounds kind of contentious, but it really is. And it's not that they're going to perpetrate a security incident. I mean, that happens occasionally, but that's fairly rare. But it's really that they're not paying attention to security, which makes your business vulnerable to attack. So, your people need to be on the lookout for phishing and social engineering attacks that can either allow malware to get onto your network, or that is going to compromise passwords. That if the passwords get in the wrong hands, they can access to anything on your network. So, companies like us can provide the most secure solution on the market. But what we can't stop is your employees from clicking on a link, or clicking on an attachment they're not supposed to click on, or giving someone their password because they got tricked into it. So education is the biggest thing you can do there. So you want to make sure you're promoting a culture of security. You're reminding your people why it's important to be on the lookout and be vigilant. This means good password habits, using MFA where it's available, not clicking on anything in an email or text that looks the least bit unusual, being suspicious of people asking for data. These sort of changes in the training around that are really important. When it comes to generative AI, it's new. And so, like most new technologies that come onto the block, the fraudsters are already all over it. So the best thing I would say is, and the easiest thing really, is to look at the overall security posture of your solution providers. If they have a robust program, they are probably going to be evaluating new technologies very closely before they implement them, looking for any potential vulnerabilities. I know we did that before we started working on AI. And one of the ways to check on this is to ask them for the documentation of their security program. Any strong security-minded provider is going to be able to provide you very easily the documentation of how they handle their risk assessments, how they do audits, their vulnerability scanning, how they handle data protection, privacy, access control, all the different elements of a well-run security program. And ask them what sort of third-party audits or certifications are they subjecting themselves to. Security-minded companies are doing this. So do they have a SOC audit report? Do they have a service that is doing vulnerability testing on their products? So like we use Veracode as an example, although there are other ones out there. These third-party people, where it's their job to look for vulnerabilities, are really key to having a well-run program, and they will provide documentation of this if you pass their screens. So always ask for that, because anybody who's got that robust program and has the third-party people looking for vulnerabilities, they're going to be focused on generative AI to make sure, if the solution provider is using it, to make sure that that's not going to create any new vulnerabilities. So And as far as generative AI specifically goes, you want to be asking, how is your data protected from disclosure, either outside your company? Some of the early kind of chat GPT-3 solutions were actually kind of mixing data in with things on the internet and technically making it available to other people who were querying. So it was not a safe kind of data solution. You want to make sure you're using a true enterprise AI solution underlying the product. And you want to make sure that whatever data is fed into is only going to be available to appropriate permissioned users of the solution. And, is your data being mingled with other companies' data? So that kind of goes to the chat GPT-3 thing. You don't want something where your data is going to be out there and then can be used by others. And then, one of the things that you see that's specific to generative AI is something called prompt injection attacks and data poisoning, where people are manipulating the AI tool to either cause it to give wrong answers, things like that. So you want to make sure whoever the provider is that they're taking precautions to make sure that doesn't happen.
Awesome. That was really great intel. And I really love how you mentioned, focusing on the people too. We did a cybersecurity white paper, a couple years ago. We're doing a bit of a refresh on it now. But you could still check it out, our insecurity white paper. It gives you a lot of really great tips on how to conduct phishing alerts, and to create a culture of security within your organization. All right, everyone. I know we ran a little bit over, but those were our 4 big ideas. I'm interested to know if those on the call agree or disagree. Go ahead and send us an email when you get the recording of this later to let us know what you think. Our 2024 State of the Industry report will be out next month. It is going to contain a wealth of the information that we provided for you today, and then so much more. And we're going to continue these conversations about ways to redefine community management in 2024 through our technology, our processes, and of course, our people. So thank you so much for joining. To our panelists, Chris, Dawn, Lindsay, and Jim, thank you for your expertise today. I hope you enjoyed this, and let's have a fabulous 2024 where we make living in a professional community a great experience. Thank you so much.